Amara thought the mansion was the reward for saving her family. She didn't know that somewhere inside those walls was the secret that would eventually destroy everything she believed about her mother. The night Amara walked down the aisle, everyone believed she was the luckiest woman in Lagos. She was marrying a wealthy man, a man whose mansion stood on one of the most expensive streets in the city, a man whose family name opened doors that money could not even buy. But nobody knew the real reason she was getting married. Amara was not marrying for love. She was marrying to save her family from financial ruin.
Rain poured over Lagos as Amara stood outside a private hospital, staring through the glass doors at her father's motionless figure. For months, her family had been fighting to keep him alive, but every day came with another bill. Every treatment demanded more money, and now the hospital had given the family one final warning. The money had to be paid, or her father would have to leave. Amara had exhausted every option. Her job could barely cover her own expenses. Her mother's small business had collapsed. Their savings were gone. Their family house was already under financial pressure. And somewhere inside that storm, Amara received an offer that would change her life forever. Inside their small but respectable Lagos home, Mama Grace sat beside her husband's bed. The family had reached a breaking point. There was no money left, no property they could safely sell, no relative willing to lend them enough. Amara watched her mother quietly calculate numbers on an old notebook. Every calculation ended the same way. They were losing everything. Then, a black luxury vehicle stopped outside their compound. Nobody in the family recognized the driver. A sharply dressed man stepped out. He carried a sealed envelope, and inside that envelope was an offer that would force Amara to make the most difficult decision of her life. The offer was simple. A wealthy businessman named Damian Okafor would clear the family's debts. He would pay for Amara Adeleke's medical treatment. He would protect the family home from foreclosure. He would also settle the legal expenses threatening Amara's younger brother. But there was one condition. Amara had to marry him. There was no courtship, no romance, no long engagement, no opportunity to understand the man she was expected to spend the rest of her life with. Just a marriage contract and a deadline. Across Lagos, Damian Okafor stood inside the penthouse office of his company. The city stretched beneath him. He had everything money could provide. Success, influence, security, power. But there was one thing money had never given him: peace. For 25 years, Damian had believed that the Adeleke family had destroyed his own. And now, for the first time, he had the opportunity to make them pay. But Damian wasn't planning to hurt Amara physically. His revenge was more calculated. He wanted her to experience the helplessness his family had experienced. He wanted her to depend on him. He wanted her to enter his world believing she was safe. Then he planned to reveal the truth. Amara knew she was making a dangerous decision. But when she looked at her father's weak body, she could not think about herself. She thought about saving him. She thought about keeping her family together. She thought about her brother. She thought about the home where she had grown up. And finally, she accepted. She had agreed to marry a stranger who already knew far more about her family than she knew about him. The wedding was beautiful. Too beautiful. Luxury flowers filled the venue. Expensive cars arrived one after another. Influential Lagos families filled the hall. Cameras flashed. Everyone smiled. But behind Amara's calm expression was fear. She had never felt more alone. Standing beside Damian, she could feel the distance between them. He looked perfect, calm, powerful, untouchable. Yet his eyes carried something she couldn't understand. It wasn't love. It was resentment. That evening, Amara arrived at Damian's mansion. The property looked more like a private estate than a home. Security guards stood at the entrance. The gardens were perfectly maintained. The interior was breathtaking, but the house felt strangely cold. There were family photographs everywhere. Amara noticed one photograph in particular. It showed Damian as a young boy standing beside his father. And beside them was a woman Amara had never seen before. Her mother. Or someone who looked remarkably like her mother. Amara froze. Amara entered the master bedroom, expecting to begin her new life. Instead, she found a room that looked untouched. Damian remained emotionally distant. He made it clear through his actions that this marriage was not a romantic relationship. It was an arrangement. Amara began to realize that something was terribly wrong. She had expected a husband. She had entered a battlefield. Damian's mother, Victoria, made it obvious that she did not welcome Amara. Her coldness wasn't ordinary disapproval. It was personal. Every time she looked at Amara, she seemed to be looking at someone else, someone from 25 years ago, someone she blamed for destroying her family. Amara couldn't understand why. One afternoon, Amara discovered an old newspaper hidden inside a cabinet. The headline described a major business scandal involving the Okafor family. The article claimed that a company owned by Damian's father had collapsed after allegations of financial fraud. And the person whose testimony had allegedly exposed the scandal was Grace Adeleke, Amara's mother. For the first time, Amara wondered whether her mother's past was the reason she had been chosen. Amara returned home and confronted her mother about the newspaper. Grace refused to explain everything. Her reaction told Amara more than words could have. Fear appeared on her mother's face. It was the first time Amara had ever seen her mother genuinely frightened by the past. Amara discovered something even more disturbing. The scandal hadn't simply destroyed Damian's father financially. It had destroyed the family's reputation. Damian's father had eventually died under mysterious circumstances, and Victoria had spent decades blaming Grace. But there was a missing piece. The original financial documents were gone. Mrs. Adaze, Damian's family lawyer, secretly searched through archived legal records. She discovered that the original evidence used against Damian's father had not come from Grace. Someone else had submitted it. Someone who had deliberately made it appear that Grace was responsible. The name was hidden from the public record. But one signature remained. Kelvin Okafor, Damian's trusted cousin. As the truth slowly emerged, Amara began seeing Damian differently. He was still cold, still angry, still convinced that her mother had destroyed his family. But she began noticing something else. He was not cruel. He secretly ensured her father received the best medical treatment. He protected her brother from dangerous people. He quietly solved problems without taking credit. His revenge had started with hatred. But something unexpected was happening. He was beginning to care about the woman he had married. Damian watched Amara care for his elderly aunt during a family gathering. She didn't know anyone was watching. She wasn't trying to impress anyone. She simply helped because that was who she was. For the first time, Damian questioned his revenge. He wondered whether he had punished the wrong person. Amara discovered a letter written by Damian's father shortly before his death. The letter contained a shocking revelation. He admitted that Grace Adeleke had actually tried to help him. She had discovered that someone inside his company was stealing millions. She had gathered evidence to expose the real culprit. But before she could reveal everything, the evidence disappeared, and the Okafor family believed she had betrayed them. Kelvin had spent 25 years protecting his secret. He had manipulated documents. He had lied to Victoria. He had encouraged Damian's hatred. And now he was terrified because Amara was getting closer to the truth. Kelvin had originally stolen money from the Okafor company. When the theft was discovered, he created fake documents linking Grace to the financial scandal. He then used her reputation to destroy the Adeleke family. The revenge Damian had spent years planning had been built on a lie. Damian finally found the original financial records. Everything he believed about Amara's mother collapsed. His anger turned into regret. He realized that the woman he had punished for months had been innocent. And worse, he realized that Amara had entered his life because of a lie. Damian returned home. Amara was sitting alone. He placed the original documents before her. For the first time, the powerful businessman who had controlled everything looked completely broken. He didn't need words. His expression told her that everything had changed. Amara was devastated. The truth did not erase what had happened. Her family had suffered. She had been forced into a marriage. She had been used as part of a revenge plan. And even though Damian now regretted it, the damage was real. She needed to decide whether forgiveness was possible. Kelvin realized the truth was about to become public. He tried to destroy the remaining evidence, but Mrs. Adaisy had already secured copies. The family secrets were finally coming into the light. Victoria discovered that Grace had never betrayed her husband. The woman she had hated for 25 years had actually tried to save the Okafor family. Victoria was forced to confront the terrible truth. Her hatred had been built on a lie. Grace and Victoria finally faced one another. 25 years of pain stood between them, but now the truth had arrived. Neither woman had completely understood what happened. Both families had suffered because one man's deception had remained hidden for decades. Amara discovered that Damian had secretly arranged for the marriage agreement to be canceled. He had returned control of her family's assets. He had paid the remaining medical expenses. He had protected her family. He no longer wanted to control her. He wanted her to choose freely. For the first time since the wedding, Amara was true. Amara left the Okafor mansion, not because she hated Damian, but because she needed to know who she was outside the marriage. Damian allowed her to leave. That was his first true act of love. 3 months passed. Amara rebuilt her life. Her father's health improved. Her brother's legal problems were resolved. Her mother finally began living without the burden of the past. But Amara still thought about Damian, not the man who had married her for revenge, the man who eventually allowed her to walk away. One evening, Amara returned to the Okafor estate. She didn't come because of money. She didn't come because of obligation. She came because she had finally understood something. Their marriage had started as revenge. But somewhere along the way, something real had grown between them. Amara once believed that marrying a stranger had been the greatest mistake of her life. She was wrong. The greatest mistake was believing that the truth could remain buried forever. Her marriage had begun with a debt. Then it became revenge. Then it became betrayal. And finally, it became a choice. Damian had wanted Amara to suffer for a crime she never committed. But in the end, the truth punished him more than revenge ever could. Because he learned that sometimes the person you choose to hurt is the very person who could have taught you how to love again. And Amara learned something too. Love is not proven by the person who refuses to let you go. Love is proven by the person who gives you the freedom to leave and still hopes you will choose to stay.